Hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Okay, there. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy Diaz. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm gonna be doing my makeup because tengo unas cosas que hacer ahorita. Like, I have to go to the grocery store because tomorrow we are having Friendsgiving at my sister's house. She decided to host this year for all of us, and I asked her, like, is there anything you want me to bring? And I think initially, like, she was just gonna bring everything. Mom was just gonna make the turkey, and that was it. And I think she still is just taking everything. I don't think she's asking anybody for anything, but she was like, can you bring your cookies that you make? And I was like, okay, sure, like, I'll bring cookies. Tell me why I ended up telling my mom that my sister asked me for cookies. This girl's gonna ask me for peach cobbler. I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have even told you that I'm making cookies for my sister, and of course for everybody. But I was like, okay, that's fine. I was just teasing her, and I kept telling her, like, hi mama, like, I'm not gonna do it, or ay, es mucho trabajo, and like things like that. But I was like, of course, I already knew that I was just gonna show up with it. But every day that I call her, like on my way home from work, she's always like, are you gonna make it? Are you gonna make it? Come on, make it. So I'm like, yes, mom, I'm gonna make it. I was gonna surprise you, pero no me dejas. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. But I wanted to come and sit here with you guys because it's been some time since I have recorded and stuff, and I know that you guys did my Christmas tree with me, which thank you so much for all the support, and thank you for being here with me and my family and in my journey as I'm still trying to figure out myself. I'm still trying to figure out Amy. One of the days in the week I was driving to work or from work to the house, I'm not sure, and your girl is 2 weeks from turning 30 years old. I am excited to be turning 30 years old, matter of fact, because they say 30s are so much easier than your 20s. And in my 20s, let me tell you, I went through some trials and tribulations. And by some, I mean your girl went through the gutter, okay? Like, there was a lot that I experienced in my 20s. And as I'm sure most of us and a lot of us, have. So yeah, I was like, that's crazy. I'm about to turn 30, and I'm very grateful for everything that has happened in my life, because I'm a believer that if all of that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And that's with heartbreak, that's with financial struggle, that's with everything, like grief, everything, like losing friendships, going through betrayal, like different jobs, like anything that you can think of. I think we've all been through that, and I think that's why we all relate to each other so much. But I think what's very important, and I can't fail to mention to you guys, is that in our society, it's very easy for us to compare ourselves and for others to compare us to other people, our siblings, our family members, our cousins, and we constantly online are comparing our lives and comparing how we've lived compared to others, and why others are where they're at and we're not there yet. So I think it's very important to remember that everybody's journey is different, and that even though you might have experienced the same thing, and like for me, I always think of this, like my siblings and I went through my parents' divorce at the same time, right? And my little brother was so little, he barely remembers. But my sister and I went through it at the same time. Yet we had such different experiences. It affected us in completely different ways. And we were in the same household. The same event happened. And it was the same thing, So people could compare, and we could compare each other. And it happened the same way, but it affected us so differently, so differently. And I bring up that specific scenario Because I know in a lot of our lives, you guys on the other side, like you're constantly compared to other family members. You're constantly comparing yourself to, you know, maybe even myself or other people wherever, you know, you're at or whatever your situation is. And of course, you want input on, you know, other people's situations so you can figure out your way and how to go about it. But just know that your journey is your journey alone. Like nothing that you're going through, like nothing is going to be the exact same way that somebody else decides to go through. Like we all have different choices, and if we see ourselves as this tree, we have different branches and different choices to make. Depending on what choice we make is whichever branches are going to come out of that tree. We're all different looking trees. We look similar and our situations may be very similar, but we still are very different trees. We have different emotions, we go through different experiences, and depending on what we do is where we end up. So please, please, please always remember, especially if you are in your early 20s and you're watching, first of all, say hello in the comments, all my young ladies. We're all young, but I'm just saying, you know, I think there's a lot of confusion in your early 20s. There's a lot of things should be figured out a certain way. You should have everything figured out. You should be married. You should have a stable relationship. You should have a stable income. You should be looking into getting married and having kids and just all these ways that other people want you to live your life. So something that I have very strongly worked on in my whole life, I think, and I'm gonna say my whole life because honestly, like I hated it. I very much disliked it. And where I come from and where I grew up, I've talked about this in the past, appearances are everything, you know, like it's more important to appear to be perfect than to actually feel okay. It is more important for everything on the outside to look good, to not, you know, to not make any mistake, to not nothing. Basically, like you have to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. You can't make no mistake. You have to look a certain way. If anything happens, people talk about you. And so we all have the, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be the topic of discussion for blah, 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 blah. So everything has to just be perfect. It doesn't have to be like that. And I know it's so hard for a lot of us to get out of caring what others think of us, but I think that overall, and you can work on this at any age, because I know so many older people that still care for what others think of them. But I think that it's important to remember that at the end of the day, how you feel matters, and what you want for your life matters more than what your parents want, more than what your siblings want, more than what other part of your family wants, and more than what society says you should do. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about the fact that I didn't start drinking until I was about like 23. Of course, for my 21st birthday, I remember going to my then best friend, who I still talk to, Jocelyn. We went to like Chili's and went to go get a drink. And so her birthday is on the 1st of December and mine is on the 3rd. And we both went and we got a drink and we like not celebrated, because at the time I wasn't celebrating still, but we just kind of had a drink, like a legal drink for the first time. I had drank illegally in the past, but not like to the point of, you know, like getting drunk or anything like that. I had tasted alcohol, but something about me, I never liked being out of control, or I never liked not being in control. And so I never actually drank to the point where I was buzzed or I was drunk or I blacked out or I didn't know what was going to happen, because I was so afraid of what could happen, and because I was going to be out of control, that I just never did it. So I wasn't like a wild child in that way at all. But it definitely, like for my 21st birthday, that was my experience, right? Eventually, like I started going to concerts a lot, and I've always been into music. I think like both of my parents instilled that into my life, and I love them for that, because music literally talks for me a lot of the times, and have used music in many ways to heal from multiple things. I think a lot of us could, a lot of us can relate to that. The fact that music speaks a lot of the times for how we're feeling and what we're going through. And so that was a beautiful experience. Aside from fun and aside from trying to figure out everything that I was supposed to figure out, because I also, even though I was working hard on not caring what others thought, I cared very much about how my mom saw me, and I care very much about still being that responsible, perfect daughter that she thought she had, or at least, in my mind, that's what I thought she thought of me. And it's funny because recently we have had conversations about how little Amy always felt the pressure that because she was so smart, she always had to live up to being smart. So anytime she made a choice that wasn't as smart, her mom would get disappointed. And my mom has always been very expressive, but when we were younger, she was a lot more expressive negatively. And I think mothers sometimes, they do the best they can and they don't always realize how they're affecting their children. And thankfully, I feel like nowadays, with all the knowledge that we have in the world and all the resources, like a lot of our new generation mothers are doing the research to heal themselves before they even have kids, and heal themselves so that the same pattern and the same things that have happened in the families before, or generations before, that they don't occur. So that's a beautiful thing, but you guys, I have learned so much, and that's just my early 20s. I remember, I think it was already like 3 years ago, I shared with you guys how I filed for bankruptcy very early on. I had such bad habits with money. And it's so funny because I wasn't like that growing up. Like as a kid, when I would get my allowance, because I would get an allowance, I was privileged enough when we lived in Mexico to have an allowance. Once we moved over here to the United States, like we could barely survive, like we barely had enough to eat. Y gracias a Dios, that he provided in all of the ways that he needed to for us to be okay. But back then, when I lived in Mexico, I was really good in my spending habits. Well, after being in lack for so long, and once I started working and credit, was new to me. I never learned about credit in school. My parents never taught me about credit. I think a lot of us can relate to this. Most of our parents weren't always the most financially smart individuals. And so unfortunately, the same thing that occurs to them occurs to us, because we aren't taught the important things that we actually need in life, right? They tell you to go to school, but school doesn't teach us about mental health. They tell you to go to school, but school doesn't teach us about spending money and our finances and how to save and how to break our checks and how to not spend more money than what we actually have. And then we just end up literally owing tons and tons of money to different companies because we want everything that we see others have, and we want everything that we didn't have ourselves growing up. And so it's a whole chain of addiction. If we, really go about it, there's so many addictions out in the world. One of them is shopping. Another one, it's literally like just spending money. You're spending it, you're wasting money, but because there is some sort of energy being exchanged, that you're receiving whatever you're receiving, and in that moment, whatever you purchased or whatever you bought or wherever you took yourself gave you the instant gratification that you needed for everything else that was going on emotionally in your life. Whoa, that was heavy, but that's literally what it is. And we don't always see it that way because we aren't taught to go into our emotions and figure out why us humans are the way that we are, why we behave certain ways. And so I've been learning all of this through my 20s. I started therapy already 3 years ago, which, I was in a really horrible place in my life. Emotionally, just because of something that had happened to me as a kid, and it just was haunting me. And so I talked about that also here, which I appreciate, just all of the support that I received from that, and just throughout honestly, my whole YouTube career and everything that I have decided to share here with you guys. I appreciate so much for your support, and I appreciate you guys for always, like listening. I feel like it's so easy to judge others, for their experiences and for what they're going through and for what they're sharing. But there's such vulnerable conversations that I think we can all learn from others who share, even if it doesn't directly apply to us. So yeah, I thank you so much for allowing me to have this space here where I can actually talk to you guys and be completely vulnerable and open up everything, that I'm comfortable with opening up. Like, you guys have been a part of my journey, a part of my life. You guys have made a difference in my life. And I know that, a lot of people aren't always told, a lot of us aren't always told, especially in our own communities, how much of an impact we have in someone else's life. And I want to let you guys know how much of an impact you have had by sharing your energy and your comments and your enthusiasm here with me, and your positivity and your compassion, your grace, for my growth. Because even though I haven't been here all of my 20s, I have been here, I think, for very big pivotal transitional times in my life. And you guys have just been so understanding. So I appreciate it. Moving on to like my older, or like my late 20s or my mid 20s and stuff, like I started dating. I went through a really heartbreak, right before COVID started, which that was crazy. Like, can you guys believe that we all went through something like that together? Like, I don't think any of us ever would have thought that was gonna happen. And I know that was a really hard time for so many people. A lot of people lost people, and a lot of people literally by loss. I don't even just mean you lost people because of COVID or because they were sick, but a lot of relationships broke, like a lot of people actually were put to spend so much time with one another because literally the whole world closed, that before maybe going to work was your way to get out of whatever was going on at home, however deep, like that was. Like, a lot of people literally, schools were closed, like everything was closed. So everything we experienced was just such a huge transition in all of our lives, like we all literally experienced this together. And everybody, again, this is another experience that we all had at the same time, and yet it affected each and every one of us so differently. So I think holding even space, compassion, grace for one another, for everything that we have been through, even the things that you guys don't know nothing about, even the things that I know nothing about in your life. Like, I think it's important to know that people are constantly going through transitions and constantly going through things. And we don't know when people are ready to talk about certain topics. We don't know when people are ready to discuss, what's going on in their life. And some people may never be ready, and that's okay. I think right now in the world, there's so much happening as well. And some of us aren't okay to talk about certain things because of what we're going through internally. And I think we need to hold space for ourselves to be able to honor our own feelings and also honor the feelings of others. So yeah, the whole COVID situation was really tough, but even through that, like, I had a lot of great experiences. I started traveling more. I traveled a lot through my 20s. I was fortunate enough to go to Miami. I went to Puerto Rico. I feel like I've been to so many places. I went to Vegas multiple times. I went to Mexico multiple times. I went to Cancun. I went to Puerto Vallarta. I went to Tulum. I went to Playa del Carmen, which I know all those three are like in Quintana Roo, but they're still different places, and each time was a different experience. I went to Cabo 2 times. I went to London 2 years ago already. Can you guys believe that was 2 years ago? I'm gonna be traveling for my 30th birthday, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited that I get to do these things. I'm so excited that I have put so much emphasis on my bliss and following what makes me happy, because I only turn 30 once, I only am this old once. We all, every single age, every year that we are the every year that we get to live, like we are only here once, you know, and some experiences repeat themselves, but you're not that age, and it's a little bit different each and every time, you know. So I feel like my outlook in life has definitely, especially since therapy, like it has changed just so much more. I've been to Orlando, I've been to Texas, I've been to, where else have I been? San Francisco, you know, like I have gone to places. I love camping. So in my early 20s, I camped. I camped more in my teens, I feel like, but I definitely camped a lot in my 20s, earlier 20s. But that was still a lot of fun, you know. I'm an experienced person. I love tangible stuff, but I feel like experiences, nobody can take them from you, you know, like the experience, the emotions that you had while you were in certain places, like nobody can take those from you. And I think those are the most beautiful things that you can cherish and have to even talk about with your, you know, with your kids when they get here. So yeah, like I have been through all of that. I built 2 businesses from scratch. You know, Amy D Merch came out in 2020, right around COVID, when I was going through that heartbreak. That was a really, you know, transition in my life and tough, but God Got Me was like the first ever shirt that I decided to come out with, and it was something so beautiful to share with you guys, because I think in that moment, like we all needed support, and we all felt like our faith needed to grow in different ways because of everything that was happening. And I was very privileged to have shared that with you guys. So yeah, right after that, Dulce de Labios came out, and that was something that I'm super grateful for, you know, because Dulce de Labios allowed me to do different things. And of course, that's with you guys' support. So I appreciate everything that you guys did there. So yeah, now here we are. I am currently single. I know you guys earlier, I've been going on TikTok live for a little bit. So for those of you guys that have only been here on YouTube, I am posting a little bit more on TikTok and also on Instagram. I have been sharing like my outfits and like how I'm changing, and of course I'm still cooking, so like I'm sharing all of that. The God Got Me sweater came out, and that was a beautiful release. Thank you so much for everybody who supported and who bought a crew neck. That was so beautiful, and I'm so happy to be matching with you guys. All of the orders have been shipped for that. Dulce de Labios has been on sale. I have been doing a Black Friday sale, and it's still going on. It's gonna go through November 30th. So the whole website is 50% off right now, and it will continue. You guys need no code at all. And on Black Friday, I will say it now, on actual Black Friday, I am gonna be doing a much bigger sale. And I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll tell you exactly the reason why. So earlier this year, actually since last year, I have been talking to my therapist, and I, you know, with everything that had been happening in my life regarding my dad, regarding his health, regarding me taking care of him living here, and just the physical, emotional, and just everything that it took from me, I wasn't feeling very encouraged to do anything with my business. And really, like, I just wasn't feeling passionate, but I still didn't want to give up on it because I felt like, well, I'm gonna seem like a failure. And that's part of, you know, I guess carrying what people think. And I think, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I have fought so hard to not put so much emphasis on how others see me, but rather how I see myself. And so I decided since last year, well, okay, I'm gonna do this and bring out new product and like just focus on that, to not pay attention to what's going on in my life in this moment. Because as much as, you know, like, I love everyone in my life, like, I'm very stressed out and there's just so much happening. So, you know, I was using it as a distraction. Well, after my dad's passing, I decided to completely be off of social media and completely just give myself all of the time that I needed to process, you know, the losses that I had experienced in my life, and to process what was happening and figure out where Amy wanted to go from there. So very early on this year, I actually had a conversation with my therapist, and I told her like, hey, you know what, like, I'm not really feeling I'm not really feeling my businesses anymore. Like I'm not really feeling Dulce de Labios anymore. Like and she told me, she's like, you've been talking about this already for some time. Like, what's up? I had to be completely honest with myself and completely honest with her. I was like, I loved what I did at a certain point, but now I feel like I'm doing it to fill a void. And if there's anything in my life that I have learned, is that there's nothing that can ever fill any void in your life other than you filling it yourself with love. So not even work, not even businesses, not even another partner, not even, like nothing can fill any void that you have in your life until you work to fill it. And so I told her, like, I'm not passionate about this anymore. I know people love my product. Like, people have supported me so much, and they love my lipsticks and my lashes and, my blushes and the lip oils. They're so well, and just everything. But I honestly don't feel like I can continue on with something that I no longer feel passionate about. I no longer feel like taking the pictures. I no longer feel like ordering this product and selling it and just doing everything on the back end that maybe even a lot of people don't know that happens, right? Like I was like, I'm just not feeling it anymore. And I haven't figured out what's next, like I'm like, I don't know what's next. And I think that's part of why I'm a little afraid, like as raw as I can say it and as vulnerable as I can be. I was like, I think there's fear and me letting Dulce de Labios go because I don't know what comes next. And the not knowing is what makes me think about it. It's what has led me to continue on and continue to do it, because I don't know what's next. I don't know where I go from here. I don't know what happens. And the times we don't know is, I feel, the times that God uses in our lives to move us to higher places, but of course you need to have faith in order to move to a higher place, because if you keep holding on to something that you are not happy doing, you're never going to get what's over here, because you're not releasing what's here. And so I literally told her, I was like, I feel like I literally just restocked all of the merchandise, and I feel like I had told her, like, I was off of social media at this time too. And, like, I'm like, I literally have, a bunch of merch basically, or a bunch of product that I just order because, it wasn't my intention. I've been wanting to like continue to work and continue to bring out product and continue, to do this because it's what has been working for me. But even though it's working, I just don't feel passionate about it anymore. Like, I don't feel like it's flowing anymore so effortlessly because I just don't love it, And with anything that you don't do with full intention, it's just simply not gonna work the way you want it to work, and even if it does, like at some point you run dry, because I'm trying to fill this business out of an empty cup, emotionally out of an empty cup, from me actually not wanting to do something that I don't think it's for me anymore. So she was like, okay, we'll think about it, and it's okay. Like, if this is your time that you say goodbye to Dulce de Labios and this is it, then this is it. And this is it, you guys. This is really it. That's the reason why I've been putting everything like on super sale. I want you guys to, to have as much as you want to have. Whatever doesn't sell, I will be donating. I'm looking into places to donate these products, especially because they're brand new. I just restocked the whole website right before, me going on my social media break. It's locked, hold on. So I am looking into places where I can donate the product that doesn't sell. If you guys know of any places that are accepting, any sort of product, especially right now that Christmas is coming along. Somebody actually sent me a DM, and you didn't even know that I needed this, but I feel like God, sends angels in different forms and in different ways, even when they don't necessarily know that you need them. But somebody recently sent me of someone that is actually doing something and does something around Christmas time where they have people from foster homes come to their store and purchase things for like a really cheap price. However, I don't want my stuff to be purchased. I want to gift it. I want to completely, you know, give it to them for free. So that's the only reason why I'm not going to be going with that specific person, and I'm going to continue to do the research. But if you guys know of anybody that will be accepting anything in December, whatever I end up with will be getting donated. So the website will be open all the way through November 30th. If you guys want to gift anything to anybody from it, if you want to restock on some of that product, because it will no longer be available, you guys are more than welcome to. Again, the website will be 50% off through the rest of November, and on Black Friday you guys will get a very special surprise discount. So you can actually make sure you follow me on Instagram so that you can get that discount there. I will probably be posting it here as well, like just as a post for those of you guys that don't have Instagram, just so you know. But Black Friday, just check out Dulce de Labios, and please, if you do know any information on where I can donate this stuff to, I would love to gift it, especially to people who, you know, may never or don't have the resources to, you know, even buy themselves makeup, a blush, or anything like that. So yes, let me know, please. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's my little update, and that's also where my life has led me. I'm here now. I'm still in a pivotal point in my life, still making big transitions, still trying to figure out what is happening. I am still single. Somebody recently asked me that. I am still single, but I am dating, and so, you know, a ver qué sale. I'm not I'm not attached to an outcome. I am open to receive what God has for me and what He thinks I'm ready for. So I'm excited for that. I'm very excited, which I will definitely be bringing you guys along to my trip. So yeah, I'm very excited to bring you guys along. If you guys want to take a wild guess down below where I'm going to be going. I recently told you guys on TikTok, well, those of you guys that were on TikTok, I went on TikTok live and I shared how I'm going to be taking a solo trip for my 30th birthday. This is my first solo trip ever, so I'm super excited about that. I'm just not sharing I'm not sharing exactly where I'm going just yet because I'm going to be solo. But as soon as I'm over there, y'all are going to know where I'm at. So you can follow me on Instagram and, you know, check all those details. But yeah, that's kind of it. I am here. I'm gonna continue to do me. I'm gonna continue to be who Amy is meant to be, and you know, that may not always be in the way that other people want me to be or show as much as others want me to show, but I have to honor myself and honor my feelings. And if it's not a hell yes, that means it's a hell no, you know? So anything that doesn't feel like a yes, for sure, I'm doing this, then I'm not gonna do it. I don't like maybes, I don't like I don't knows, because that's uncertainty, and I don't like to feel the uncertainty in any way. So I have to go with my gut feeling. I have to go with what feels good for me and what feels right for me, and I have to honor that. And I invite you guys to do the same with yourselves. I invite you guys to honor your feelings and to honor whatever it is that you're feeling right now, this holiday season, and just overall in your life. To all my fellow Sagittarius, happy early birthday. I will see you guys very soon. Probably as I get ready for my trip, because we are literally 2 weeks away from my birthday. So I'm excited. That being said, you guys, thank you so much. I put on this lip gloss. Yes, so with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for being part of my journey, part of my 20s to my 30s and beyond. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you guys' energy. I appreciate the love that you continue to share with me and that you continue to give me, the grace, the compassion, the understanding, everything that you have continued to give me through this transition in my life, through this time in my life. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you guys before then. And whatever you choose to do this Thanksgiving, whatever you feel like doing, honor those feelings, honor yourself, continue to love yourself, and continue to pour into yourself, because we can't help others without helping ourselves first. I love you. Until the next one. Bye.